Welcome, listeners, to what might be the most fascinating journey you'll take today, a deep dive into the evolutionary masterpiece that is male sexuality. I'm your host, Zoya Sinclair, and welcome to Sexual Chemistry. Get ready to shatter myths, explore scientific marvels, and unlock secrets that will change how you think about pleasure forever. Now, before you adjust your headphones nervously, let me be clear. This isn't your typical locker room conversation. We're about to embark on a scientific expedition through millions of years of evolution, cutting-edge research from university laboratories, and practical wisdom that could revolutionize intimate experiences. From the moment our ancient ancestors first stood upright, something remarkable was happening below the belt. I thought the human penis was evolving into something unprecedented in the animal kingdom. And today we're going to discover exactly why that matters, what it means, and how this knowledge can transform our understanding of pleasure itself. So settle in, because we're about to explore the most misunderstood, mythologized, and magnificently designed aspects of human sexuality. Trust me, by the end of this episode, you'll never think about male pleasure the same way again. And if you're eager to keep uncovering fresh perspectives and expert insights on intimacy, desire, and the human experience, Scoob is your perfect podcast companion. Download Scoob from the App Store or Play Store to access a curated world of thought-provoking shows that deepen your understanding and spark your curiosity. Get ready. This journey is about to change the way you see pleasure forever. Let's start with a question that would make Darwin blush. What evolutionary pressures shaped the human penis into the remarkable organ it is today? Here's where things get absolutely fascinating. According to primate sexuality expert Alan Dixon, when we look at our closest relatives, those gibbons living in cozy family groups, the males sport small, relatively straightforward penises, nothing fancy, nothing elaborate, just functional equipment for reproduction. But then we have humans, and oh boy, are we different. Reproductive biologist Roger Short puts it perfectly. The significant size of the erect human penis, especially compared to other great apes, raises some serious evolutionary questions. Jeffrey Miller is even more direct. He states that adult male humans have the longest, thickest, and most flexible penises among all living primates. We're talking about Homo sapiens being absolutely distinct in this regard among the great apes. Now, here's where your high school biology teacher probably never ventured. The human penis isn't just bigger, it's brilliantly engineered. That flared glans you see, that coronal ridge, it's not there for decoration. Combined with the characteristic thrusting action during intercourse, which can range from 10 to 500 thrusts per session, this design creates a vacuum in the female reproductive tract. But wait, it gets better. This vacuum serves to pull semen away from the ovum, clearing the path for the sperm about to be deposited. You might think, hold on, doesn't this vacuum also remove the man's own sperm? Brilliant question. It doesn't, because upon ejaculation, the head of the penis reduces in size before any significant loss of stiffness occurs, negating the suction effect that might otherwise retract his own genetic material. This is what researchers call semen displacement, and Professor Gordon G. Gallup proved it works in the most creative laboratory study you've never heard of. Using artificial semen made from cornstarch, yes, the same stuff used in many pornographic films, latex reproductive tracts, and artificial penises, Gallup's team discovered that over 90% of the cornstarch mixture was displaced with just one thrust. The implications: the human penis evolved its unique configuration to displace semen left by other males. We're talking about millions of years of evolutionary competition for paternity, resulting in the remarkable organ that exists today. And here's a statistic that'll blow your mind. While our close ape relatives might have larger testicles, they fall dramatically behind in terms of duration. Bonobos last about 15 seconds, chimps around 7 seconds, and gorillas roughly 60 seconds. Human males, we average between 4 to 7 minutes. That's literally 60 times longer than our closest genetic relatives. The chimpanzee penis, in comparison, is a thin, conical structure lacking the flared glans that makes human anatomy so distinctive. Sustained thrusting is practically unknown among chimps and bonobos, likely due to their incredibly brief encounters. But here's the kicker. The average seminal volume in a human ejaculate is about 4 times that of chimpanzees, positioning our reproductive anatomy as uniquely evolved with several distinguishing features that emphasize its prominence among all primates. We're not just talking about random evolutionary accidents here. Every feature, every dimension, every functional aspect represents millions of years of sexual selection and competitive pressure. The human penis is quite literally an evolutionary masterpiece. Now that we understand the evolutionary brilliance behind male anatomy, let's tackle the elephant in the room. Or should I say, the myths in the bedroom. The first myth that needs to die, the idea that longer intercourse automatically equals better sexual experiences. This misconception is so deeply rooted in our culture that it's causing genuine psychological damage to millions of men worldwide. Here are the facts that'll shock you. Research indicates that men typically need between 2 to 10 minutes of intercourse to reach orgasm. A comprehensive study of hundreds of men from 5 different countries found the average duration from penetration to ejaculation to be around 5.7 minutes. Alfred Kinsey's classic research concluded an even shorter average of 2.5 minutes. But here's the devastating part. A separate study revealed that men believe intercourse should last an average of 30 minutes. 30 minutes. We're talking about expectations that are literally 10 times longer than biological reality. This reflects the substantial pressure men face to achieve completely unrealistic standards. And where does this pressure come from? Society, media, and perhaps most damaging of all, pornography, which has created a fantasy world that bears no resemblance to actual human sexuality. The second myth destroying male confidence, penis size anxiety. This is where things get really interesting because while men are obsessing over measurements, women are prioritizing completely different aspects of sexual encounters. In survey after survey, women consistently emphasize the importance of partners who care about their pleasure and possess good sexual communication skills over genital dimensions. An online survey involving over 3,000 women revealed that the majority valued sexual communication skills above penis size. College women reported that penis size had little to no impact on their sexual pleasure. Yet despite this overwhelming evidence, only 55% of heterosexual men and 65% of gay men express satisfaction with their penis size. These anxieties are exacerbated by pornography's portrayal of disproportionately large penises, creating a false association between size and pleasure. Here's the reality check. Almost all men who are dissatisfied with their penis size desire larger members, even though 99% of these men have penises that fall within the completely normal range. The damage extends beyond individual psychology. Many people joke about penis size without recognizing the impact these comments have on men's self-esteem, contributing to anxieties in ways similar to how comments about breast size affect women. These jokes perpetuate the myth that penises are the sole or primary source of sexual pleasure. Let's get specific about measurements because knowledge defeats anxiety. A comprehensive review encompassing over 15,000 men concluded that the average flaccid penis length is 3.6 inches and the average erect length is 5.2 inches. The average circumference of an erect penis is 4.6 inches. Only about 3% of men have penises 7 inches or longer when erect. A stark contrast to the exaggerated sizes often depicted in pornography. These unrealistic representations contribute to sexual difficulties experienced by both men and women, creating expectations that simply don't align with human biology. The bottom line? The notion that longer intercourse and larger anatomy automatically lead to better experiences is not just wrong, it's harmful. Real sexual satisfaction comes from understanding, communication, and technique, not from trying to live up to fantasies created by an industry that prioritizes visual impact over authentic pleasure. Now let's take a fascinating detour that'll change how you think about pleasure anatomy entirely. We need to talk about the clitoris, not because this is a show about female pleasure, but because understanding the relationship between male and female anatomy reveals incredible insights about how pleasure actually works. The clitoris has been called the grand central station of erotic sensation, and despite its average size being only about 1/8 that of a penis, it contains nearly twice the number of nerve endings. Let that sink in. Twice the nerve endings in 1/8 of the space. We're talking about incredible nerve density designed purely for one purpose: sensation. Here's where it gets fascinating from a male perspective. Unlike the penis, which has multiple functions including sensation, penetration, ejaculation, and urination, the primary role of the clitoris is solely sensation. It's evolution's dedicated pleasure organ, and understanding its design teaches us crucial lessons about how human sexuality actually works. Both organs share a remarkable biological origin and surprisingly similar internal structures. The visible portion of the clitoris, the glans, is merely the tip of a much larger anatomical structure, just like how the glans penis is just the head of the entire penile structure. Remember those 3 chambers we discussed in male anatomy? The penis has 2 cavernous bodies, corpora cavernosa, and a spongy body, corpus spongiosum, that extend deep into the body. Well, the clitoris features analogous structures, a pair of legs, crura, that extend deeply within tissue, and the bulbs of the vestibule which surround both the urethra and vagina. This means the clitoris actually extends all the way to the vaginal opening. Most people think of it as just that small visible part, but biologically it's an extensive internal structure with erectile tissue that reaches throughout the entire genital region. Why does this matter for understanding male pleasure? Because it reveals that effective stimulation isn't about size or duration. It's about understanding anatomy and nerve distribution. The most sensitive areas aren't necessarily the most obvious ones. Just like the clitoris has its hood, similar to male foreskin, and the female fourchette corresponds to the male frenulum, these anatomical parallels show us that pleasure is about precision, not power. The cultural understanding of both organs typically focuses on external parts, but the biological reality includes extensive internal structures that respond to different types of stimulation. This knowledge revolutionizes how we approach pleasure for both men and women. Understanding this comparison destroys another myth, that bigger is automatically better. If the clitoris can generate incredible sensations with twice the nerve density in a fraction of the space, it suggests that human pleasure is far more sophisticated than simple size equations. This anatomical lesson sets us up perfectly for understanding what really matters in sexual satisfaction. And it's not what most people think. All right, let's cut through the noise and get to what actually creates amazing sexual experiences, because here's where the research gets really interesting and where most assumptions get completely demolished. In a comprehensive survey about what's most important during intercourse, not a single woman mentioned penis size. Not one. Instead, the overwhelming emphasis was on partners who prioritized their pleasure. This finding was echoed across multiple studies, including a recent online survey of over 3,000 women, where effective sexual communication skills far outweighed any concern about anatomical dimensions. A multi-year survey of college students revealed that the vast majority of female participants felt penis size did not impact their sexual pleasure whatsoever. We're seeing this pattern consistently across different demographics, age groups, and cultures. But here's what's fascinating. While men are obsessing over measurements, women are focusing on completely different factors. They want partners who care about their experience, who communicate effectively, and who understand that sexual satisfaction is about connection, not specifications. This creates a tragic disconnect. About half of all men are dissatisfied with their size, with nearly all of these men wishing for something larger. But these concerns are generally completely unfounded. Most men who desire changes are actually within perfectly normal ranges. The average measurements we discussed earlier, 3.6 inches flaccid, 5.2 inches erect, 4.6 inches in circumference, represent the reality of human anatomy. Only about 3% of men measure 7 inches or longer when erect. Yet pornography has convinced millions that this extreme minority represents some kind of standard. Women who have been with partners of various sizes consistently report that personality, technique, and emotional connection far outweigh any physical measurements. The size anxiety epidemic among men is solving a problem that doesn't actually exist for their partners. Think about this logically. The first few inches of the vagina contain the most nerve endings. Beyond that, sensitivity decreases dramatically. This means that technique, angle, and understanding of anatomy matter infinitely more than length. Moreover, different sexual positions work better with different body types. Smaller penises can be equally or even more effective in various positions, and women often report that partners who aren't overly focused on size tend to be more attentive to other aspects of pleasure. The research consistently shows that women prioritize emotional connection, communication, foreplay, and overall sexual creativity. They want partners who are present, engaged, and focused on mutual pleasure rather than performance metrics. This knowledge should be liberating for men. Instead of worrying about things they cannot and do not need to change, they can focus on developing the skills that actually create incredible sexual experiences: communication, creativity, emotional intelligence, and understanding of anatomy. The irony is profound. While men are anxious about aspects of sexuality that rank low in actual importance, they're often overlooking the factors that rank highest: the ability to create emotional safety, communicate desires effectively, and maintain genuine connection during intimate moments. Understanding what actually matters transforms not just individual confidence, but the entire approach to sexual satisfaction. And this brings us perfectly to the practical applications, the techniques and approaches that leverage this knowledge to create genuinely extraordinary experiences. If you're enjoying this deep dive into intimacy and want to keep learning, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow the podcast on platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Subscribing ensures you never miss an episode and helps us bring you more insightful content. For even more curated insights on relationship frameworks and authentic tantric practices, check out Scoob, the AI-powered podcast app that tailors shows to your interests and supports your journey toward deeper connection and growth. Download Scoob from the App Store or Play Store and keep your exploration going anytime, anywhere with 1,000+ insightful podcasts. Now we're getting to the practical magic, the techniques that transform understanding into extraordinary experiences. But before we dive into specific methods, we need to establish some fundamental principles that separate amateur fumbling from skilled artistry. The first principle is revolutionary. The goal is not rapid climax. Instead, we're building sexual energy, maintaining arousal, and creating sustained pleasure experiences that can last far longer than traditional approaches. Think of this as the difference between a sprint and a masterfully paced marathon. This approach involves constantly varying tempo and pressure, frequently changing techniques to keep experiences unpredictable and engaging. By alternating between high-energy movements and calmer strokes, shifting focus between different anatomical areas, you create dynamic and tantalizing experiences that build energy rather than depleting it. Let's start with foundational techniques that every person should understand. The rock around the clock technique demonstrates how creativity can transform basic touch into something extraordinary. Begin by laying the penis on the belly and using both hands to stroke from base to glans in continuous motion. Hands can be flat or wrapped around the shaft. Start with the penis at 12 o'clock position, pointing toward the navel, and slowly move around the clock face. 12 to 1 o'clock, continuing around. Here's where it gets interesting. When you reach 4 o'clock, slide your hands off the penis onto the inner thigh, pushing energy into the leg. At 6 o'clock, wrap around the penis again. If there's full erection, 6 o'clock might point upward rather than toward the feet. Complete the entire rotation for comprehensive stimulation. Variations include moving counterclockwise or using opposite directional strokes. With one hand pulling skin back at the base, the other glides from base to glans. While holding the glans, the first hand grasps the shaft behind the head and glides back to base. This continuous slow motion creates particularly intense sensations. The twist and shout stroke introduces the concept of rotational movement. Pull back skin with one hand while grasping the shaft with the other. Squeeze and pull with a twisting motion, allowing the hand to slide up and off the head. This feels best when executed slowly and deeply. While it might look intense, the penis is remarkably durable, and many men find this stroke incredibly pleasurable when performed with appropriate intensity. The corkscrew technique builds on this concept. Imagine the head as a cork you're removing from a wine bottle. Pull back skin and hold at the base. With the penis between the knuckles of index and middle fingers, apply squeeze, twist, and pull motions. You can also play with the cork at the end rather than removing it completely. For high-energy variation, try the fire stroke. Hold the penis straight out between flat palms of both hands. Using ample lubrication, move hands in opposite directions with deep friction and medium to deep pressure. This can be performed quickly or slowly, with alternating tempos often creating significant pleasure responses. The hand jive is similar but adds finger interlacing. Hold the penis between both palms with interlaced fingers. With hands clamped together, stroke up and down the shaft while using thumbs to stimulate the head. Another variation keeps hands still while allowing thrusting into the formed tunnel. The juicer involves pulling back skin and holding at the base while the other hand mimics juicing an orange. Use fingertips to create fast circular motions along the shaft, moving energy throughout the entire length. When fingers are low on the shaft, the palm makes contact with the glans and urethral opening. Pay special attention to the coronal ridge, that back edge of the head that can be lightly teased or stimulated for added sensation. These techniques share common principles. Variation prevents habituation, full-body energy distribution prevents premature climax, and understanding anatomy allows for precision rather than random movement. Now, we're entering advanced territory, techniques that transform simple touch into energy cultivation practices that can produce extraordinary states of pleasure and awareness. The concept of body strokes revolutionizes how we think about sexual energy. Instead of keeping sensation localized, these techniques spread sexual energy from the genitals throughout the entire body, up into the belly, heart, arms, and legs. If climax feels imminent, encourage body shaking and vibration of legs, arms, and face to redistribute energy and prevent ejaculation. This approach allows for multiple peaks of pleasure without the energy depletion that typically follows climax. When performed correctly, it creates heightened sensitivity and allows for repeated waves of intense sensation during extended sessions. Let's explore some sophisticated techniques that leverage these principles. The hairy palm focuses on the most sensitive area, the urethral opening. Grasp the penis with one hand, either at the base if erect, or behind the head if not. With the other palm flat, glide in light circular motions directly on the urethral meatus. Some men find this too intense initially, while others prefer firmer pressure. Vary by rotating the wrist, allowing the flat palm to glide around the opening on the soft glans tissue. A favored variation holds the palm still while softly scraping the glans against it. Healing uses the heel of your palm in a completely different way. Lay the penis on the belly, place your hand flat, with fingers pointed toward the feet, then glide the heel from head to base, pressing into the belly. This motion resembles ironing, with the belly as the board and palm heel as the iron. The pressure causes the urethral opening to contact your wrist, creating unique sensations. Variations include splaying fingers to stimulate the belly more extensively, gently wrapping fingers around testicles as they approach, or performing healing in the opposite direction from base to tip. Cock root vibrations introduce energy work concepts. When erect, the penis extends back inside the body, making the perineum firm. This area is the cock root. Lift the testicles with one hand and place the other palm against this root, then initiate vibrations. You can also use a vibrator either on top of your hand or directly on the area. If the receiver is relaxed and breathing consciously, these vibrations travel throughout the entire body. Adjust vibration speed until you sense natural energy waves. The frenulum frolic targets the highly sensitive area on the underside where the head meets the shaft. This region plays a significant role in arousal and energy circulation. Pinching the skin here provides substantial pleasure. Another technique involves supporting the head on one palm while using the other thumb to create alternating deep and light circular motions. Both thumbs can also slide over the frenulum alternately while fingertips support the shaft. Now, here's where things get really advanced. The rainbow rub technique that some practitioners claim can activate higher states of consciousness. Pull back skin and hold at the base. With the opposite hand, grasp the glans firmly between fingertips and palm heel. Tighten fingertips and move the hand so it slips over the top, as if lifting the glans off the shaft before placing it back down, creating firm, deep strokes. Some penis reflexologists identify the frenulum as a crucial point for activating what they call the gates of consciousness, by potentially enhancing visual perception and even triggering synesthetic experiences where pleasure becomes visible as colors or patterns. The key principle throughout all advanced techniques is the resilient edge of resistance. Just as the body adapts to deep sensations, shifting to lighter, more subtle stimulations keeps the nervous system engaged and increasingly sensitive. The goal isn't ejaculation, but rather sustained states of heightened awareness and pleasure. Breathing becomes crucial at this level. The deeper the breathing, the more profound the sensations and energy movement. Encourage full, powerful breathing throughout to maximize the experience and facilitate energy circulation throughout the entire body. We're now entering the realm of professional-level techniques that combine traditional massage principles with cutting-edge understanding of male anatomy. Welcome to what practitioners call cock Shiatsu, a systematic approach that awakens the entire nervous system through precise genital stimulation. These techniques require preparation and understanding. Begin by applying quality oil or lubricant to the insides and tops of thighs. ensuring the penis and testicles are adequately lubricated. Use additional lubricant in areas with more hair for smoother experiences. The fundamental cock Shiatsu technique serves as an excellent awakening practice. Grasp the head of the penis and gently extend it to full length. The penis is remarkably elastic and stretches easily. Hold it securely between finger and thumb in the extended position. With your other hand, apply pressure by squeezing one finger width at a time from base toward glans, then back to base. Perform this deeply, both laterally from the sides and along the top and bottom of the shaft. This technique invigorates the entire shaft while facilitating energy flow throughout the body. From a reflexology perspective, this intense tissue stimulation activates energy points throughout the entire system. Pulling back the skin becomes fundamental for many advanced techniques. This involves retracting all skin covering the penis, not just foreskin. Hold the glands between thumb and fingers, stretching upward until you feel slight resistance. Remember, penises are remarkably durable and won't break from proper stretching. With your other hand, pull loose skin downward and secure it at the base where penis meets body. This technique works for both circumcised and uncircumcised men and is essential for many advanced strokes. The professional level rock around the cock clock builds on earlier techniques with greater precision. Place the penis on the belly and stroke from base to glans with both hands in fluid motion. Hands can be flat or wrapped around the shaft. Move the penis gradually from 12 o'clock position through each hour of the clock. At 4 o'clock, slide off the penis onto the inside thigh, pushing energy into the leg. At 6 o'clock, wrap hands around the penis again. Complete the entire clock rotation for comprehensive stimulation. Advanced variations include moving counterclockwise or using hands to stroke in opposite directions. With the left hand pulling skin back and holding at base, glide right hand from base along shaft to grasp glans. While right hand holds glans, left hand grasps shaft behind glans and glides back to base. The continuous slow motion of this technique creates particularly intense experiences. Professional practitioners emphasize the importance of variety and the resilient edge of resistance principle. Just as the body adapts to deep sensations, shifting to lighter, more ticklish sensations keeps the nervous system engaged and increasingly sensitive. Constant, conscious changes in stimulation type invigorate the body, keeping it vibrant and awake. The primary goal remains energy cultivation rather than ejaculation. Avoiding repetitive back and forth motions prevents premature climax while allowing for multiple peaks of pleasure without energy depletion. When performed correctly, this allows recipients to experience repeated waves of intense sensation during extended sessions. Advanced breathing techniques become essential at this level. Recipients must maintain full, deep, powerful breathing throughout the process. The deeper the breathing, the more profound the sensations and energy circulation. This conscious breathing facilitates the movement of sexual energy throughout the entire body rather than keeping it localized in the genitals. These professional-level techniques represent the culmination of thousands of years of tantric and massage traditions combined with modern understanding of anatomy and neurology. They transform simple touch into sophisticated energy cultivation practices that can produce extraordinary states of pleasure, awareness, and even altered consciousness. The mastery of these techniques requires practice, patience, and deep understanding of both anatomy and energy principles. But for those willing to develop these skills, they offer access to realms of pleasure and connection that go far beyond conventional sexual experiences. As we reach the end of our comprehensive journey through male pleasure, let's step back and appreciate the remarkable picture that emerges when we combine evolutionary biology, anatomical understanding, psychological research, and practical technique. We began with the evolutionary marvel, understanding that the human penis represents millions of years of sexual selection, resulting in an organ uniquely designed for both pleasure and reproductive success. The flared glands, the duration capabilities, the sophisticated mechanisms for semen displacement. These aren't accidents, but rather the products of intense evolutionary pressure that created something unprecedented in the primate world. We demolished the performance myths that plague modern sexuality, the false beliefs about duration, size, and performance that create anxiety instead of pleasure. The research is clear. What women actually value in sexual experiences has almost nothing to do with the measurements and timing that men obsess over. Communication, emotional connection, and technique consistently rank far above anatomical specifications. Our anatomical comparison revealed that pleasure is about precision, not power. Understanding how the clitoris achieves incredible sensitivity through nerve density rather than size teaches us that human sexuality is far more sophisticated than simple bigger is better equations. Both male and female anatomy share remarkable similarities in their internal structures and pleasure mechanisms. We discovered what actually matters in sexual satisfaction, and it's revolutionarily different from cultural assumptions. Partners want connection, communication, creativity, and genuine care for their pleasure. These are skills that can be developed, attitudes that can be cultivated, and approaches that transform sexual experiences from performance anxiety into genuine intimacy. The practical techniques we explored, from basic manual methods to advanced energy cultivation practices, demonstrate how understanding anatomy and applying proper technique can create experiences that go far beyond conventional expectations. These methods emphasize building and circulating energy rather than depleting it, creating sustained pleasure rather than brief peaks. The professional-level approaches show us that human sexuality can be elevated to an art form when we combine traditional wisdom with modern understanding. The concept of sexual energy as something that can be cultivated, directed, and shared transforms intimate encounters from simple physical acts into profound experiences of connection and consciousness. But perhaps the most important insight from our entire journey is this: male pleasure, like all human sexuality, thrives on knowledge, communication, and genuine care rather than performance pressure and competition. When we understand our bodies, our partners, and the true principles of pleasure, we can create experiences that are not just physically satisfying but emotionally and spiritually fulfilling as well. The evolutionary masterpiece that is male anatomy deserves to be understood, appreciated, and skillfully engaged rather than anxiously measured against impossible standards. Every man has access to extraordinary pleasure experiences, not through changing what they have, but through understanding what they have and learning to use it skillfully. This knowledge transforms not just individual experiences, but relationships themselves. When both partners understand these principles, they can create together something far more satisfying than either could achieve through performance pressure or wishful thinking. The human capacity for pleasure is truly remarkable. Our evolutionary heritage has given us incredibly sophisticated anatomy. Our capacity for learning allows us to develop extraordinary skills. Our ability to communicate enables us to share desires and discoveries. And our emotional complexity allows us to create experiences that satisfy not just our bodies, but our hearts and minds as well. The path forward is clear. Replace anxiety with understanding, competition with communication, and performance pressure with genuine pleasure cultivation. The remarkable design of human sexuality deserves nothing less than our full appreciation and skillful engagement. I'm your host, Zoya Sinclair, and thank you for joining me on Sexual Chemistry. Remember, this knowledge is only valuable when applied with care, respect, and a genuine desire to create beautiful experiences for yourself and your partners. The art of pleasure is exactly that, an art form that rewards patience, practice, and passionate dedication to mastery. If you've enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow the podcast on platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, so you never miss an episode packed with insights and inspiration. For even more curated content on intimacy, relationships, and personal growth, explore Scoob, the AI-powered podcast app that brings you personalized shows tailored to your curiosity. Download Scoob from the App Store or Play Store and keep your exploration alive for free. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep celebrating the remarkable gift of human sexuality in all its evolutionary brilliance and practical potential.